Hello, I'm the Kaiju Legends. Hello. Hey guys, the Kaiju Legends here with, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. My name is Taylor Minster.
We just saw Godzilla Monster Planet and we're going to do a review.
What an intro.
I guess before we dive into specifics, what's your overall thoughts without getting into spoilers just yet?
I would probably say it's definitely a part. It's part one, and it's definitely a part of something that feels like it's bigger. It doesn't feel... I don't know. I would probably... The best way to watch it is probably with all three parts whenever they're finally released.
It does not feel like its own complete movie.
Yeah.
I did not like it that much right now.
I would...
Maybe I'll like it more after a second viewing, but right now I'm not happy.
It's just... I don't know. It's like I said, it's just a part. And it's definitely just a part. It's nothing... They set things up, if you can call it that, but there's nothing really solved.
Yeah. It feels like from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, not much changes.
It's only an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. And the plot, if you're somehow not aware, is humans have left Earth because Godzilla rules the Earth now. And so they get the hell out of there. And now, like years later, they're planning to go back so they can reclaim their home.
I would say probably when all three parts get released, it'll probably be easier to watch.
Hopefully.
It was only an hour and a half, but it felt like it dragged a lot, mainly because it was trying to set things up and give exposition. There is some mystery that is left with this one, but nothing that's too intriguing.
To put it this way, if you thought the boardroom scenes in Shin Godzilla were boring and annoying and pointless, that happens in this movie too, except this time it's science mumbo jumbo that you have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
I will say this, it does feel like a Godzilla movie, just because in the sense that with like most of the older Godzilla movies, Godzilla doesn't show up until 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that, I guess, when we get into more spoiler-specific stuff, but we'll probably get into that pretty soon here.
I would say hold off on watching it. Just wait until the second part or all three parts come out.
The second part comes out in May, I think.
Yeah.
May, in Japan at least, and then it'll probably come out in the US sometime in the summer.
Probably 2 months later.
Yeah, and then part 3 will probably be out by the end of the year, so you have to wait like the entire year of 2018
just
for a potentially better experience, but...
Just leave it on the back burner. Just know about it. Watch the trailers, I guess.
Like, even I wasn't like too hyped for this movie going into it. Like, I mean, granted, with the knowledge that it is a 3-parter, and the first part might not be that much, but, you know, unless you're, like, a super fan, which we're both big fans of Godzilla, but I would be fine if I had waited many more months to see this. Granted, that would have been many more months of avoiding spoilers.
Having all of this rather on like some kind of movie night with friends would probably be a better experience to watch it. Standalone with just the first part on Netflix, you feel kind of just teased and you feel like, I don't know, misled in the sense that there's more that needs to be set up and more that needs to be done.
Yeah. So one last thing that I think would be good to touch on before we get into super spoilery stuff. I mean, granted, as spoilery as you can get with this movie. What did you think of the animation style?
First of all, the studio that made this made a previous show.
It's Polystone, I believe.
Yeah. they made a previous show that was funded by Netflix called Knights of Sidonia, and that had come out about 3 to 5 years ago. And I watched that, and it was really just a pastime. The animation in it was a little bit jarring in the sense that it was only about 10 to 12 frames per second, and it was a little different to watch, I guess, because everything moved a bit slower. The animations for some things were a lot smoother in this, probably because they had a bigger budget, but a lot of the human motion was the same as Knights of Sidonia, and it's
I think the weirdest thing about it for me was the shading of a lot of things, especially scenes in like the entire first half of the movie when all the humans are on their like spaceship orbiting, outer space and Earth and all this stuff. There's a lot of like the idea and concept is there for there to be cool lighting effects as like planets and stuff are shining in through the windows of this spaceship, but there's lots of weird effects where there's these like solid black shadows that cover like this portion of a person's body and then this portion of a person's body, and it looks very weird. But I think on like Godzilla and stuff, it looked okay, like when he moves, that is.
if you can call it moving.
Yeah.
I will say with the animation, the Godzilla character model barely moves. It's kind of annoying in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
I
think now is a good time to get into spoilery stuff.
yeah.
So if you don't want spoilers, I mean, considering
Spoilers!
yeah. So not a lot happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Like from beginning to end, like we talked about that a little bit earlier, but
Well, it opens up with him trying to leave the main ship only to be arrested, only to go into exposition about how
the first 15 or 20 minutes of this movie is non-stop narration exposition.
and looping. They just play back some of the same footage that you already saw and already get an idea for.
Yeah. And I guess one thing about the opening is if you have been following this movie in any capacity, you've heard of like the massive roster of monsters that they announced. And this like whole timeline that they had where it's like, oh, freaking Dogora attacks this city, Orga attacks that, and all that.
Yeah, you don't see him.
Yeah, there's like pictures of Kamacuras, Dogora, Dagara,
Like regular
Orga.
PNG.
Yeah, I think it's just those four.
Yeah.
And it flashes by in 30 seconds. That's it. And that's all you get. So if you're expecting that, then
Here's an idea, Toho. Why don't you just make that the movie?
I feel like that would have been a better part one. Part one, like
With all the monsters appearing?
all the monsters appear. Godzilla comes in, and the very end, everyone leaves Earth. And then part two could basically pick up where this movie starts.
Yeah.
And you'd have a much better idea of why everyone's there, who everyone is, and what is going on. Because in the beginning of the movie, you get brief ideas of who the main character is. Haruo. His grandpa died.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. And he doesn't like Godzilla. And he makes that very clear.
That his entire character's motivation is to be angry at Godzilla. Even though he has just amount of a right to be angry at Godzilla as anyone else. But he's always he's essentially that kid in the back of the class that always rebels against the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of annoying. And you kind of don't want to follow him. But it's a movie, so you have to.
To put it this way, throughout the first half of the movie, Haruo is in a jail cell because he gets arrested for trying to threatening to blow up the main ship because I don't even remember why. That's how forgettable a lot of the stuff in the movie was.
They didn't want to... I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing happened. I don't remember.
Nor do I care.
Yeah. But the movie keeps cutting back to repeated scenes of Haruo in the jail cell and it's literally just the same like 10-second dialogue of him going, "Godzilla made us leave our planet. I want to kill him." That's all he says the entire movie.
Speaking of what I said, not caring, characters, if you can call them that.
There was Haruo.
Alien Man.
There's the alien man who sounded feminine.
Androgynous.
Yeah. And there was the other alien with like triple eyebrows.
I didn't even notice that. I wasn't paying attention.
He's the guy we kept making fun of because he sounded like Captain Gordon.
Oh yeah, and Lady.
Oh yeah. The lady who he's definitely not going to fall in love with. I think that'd be an outrageous prediction.
She's definitely not supposed to be the love interest. I actually don't think that they're even going to follow through with that.
She gets 3 lines of dialogue the whole movie.
Let's be generous. Let's say 4.
Yeah. Because you can tell she's supposed to be important because her opening reveal is like, "All right, Haru, you're going to go down to Earth and you're going to be accompanied by this girl."
Yeah,
and they like pan
to...
the camera and she like takes off her helmet. And the camera holds there for like 2 seconds as nothing happens.
She's supposed to watch over him since he's still like on parole, I guess.
There's a lot of plot holes.
There's a lot of
just weird things that don't make sense.
Emptiness.
Like, so they bring Haruo, he was out on bail as they bring him down to Earth.
Who would technically be a terrorist, I guess, because he was trying to
blow up the only area that humanity exists.
I guess you could say it's for a political motivation of trying to go back to Earth.
I guess, yeah.
So
but
I guess that's our...
But still, it's weird that they bring him down to Earth, where he wanted to go in the first place, to kill Godzilla. There's nothing down there besides the other people, and they still keep him in bondages, and they let him walk in front of all of the other soldiers as, like, the freaking servum.
The reason why they brought him is because I guess he annoyed him too much about talking about
they brought
Earth.
him because he figured out the way to kill Godzilla, and that's the big thing of this movie. They go back to Earth because Haruo, and his alien friend managed to convince everyone that he's found the way to kill Godzilla.
Which they don't show how
until the climax.
No, they don't show how they figured it out.
Well, yeah, they're like, it's an anonymous paper. Like, who wrote this? And you're like, Haruo. Like, okay, how do you know that? Is it going to be explained in the later parts? Maybe. I'm not going to remember that he did that.
I won't care. They won't care.
Yeah.
But... yeah, so they bring him down because he knows how to kill Godzilla. And while they're down there, during the first time Godzilla attacks him, the big commander of the team ends up leading a suicide mission to try to kill him.
Because he's trying to figure out, like, if his hypothesis about Godzilla is correct. Because supposedly he has a shield. Like, if you've seen his atomic breath in the trailers, there's that little, like, bubble or shield that forms around his mouth and he shoots the beam. I guess that's around his entire body. You don't see the shield, though.
Nope.
No, you never see the shield, but they're like, it's there!
That would require animation.
Yeah, which we'll get to that. But so Haruo's whole plan is that there's a hole that opens in his dorsal plates or something when his shield collapses for like a 1/10,000th of a second is what they said, I think.
Well, it was like every 10 seconds it opens or something like that.
It was...
for some reason.
There's some weird thing. There was something that involved a 1/10,000th of a second frame.
So after Big Commander Man blows up, Alien Man, who's a priest...
yeah, he's a priest, and he
also, there's religious aspects in this movie,
which we'll also get into later because that's like the very end of the movie that finally comes into play.
And then so Alien Man he's
given command.
He's given his speech. He's in command.
He's in command by the other alien. The other alien, I think, gives him command.
Yeah,
maybe it wasn't.
And then,
I don't remember any of these characters.
And then I think because he was saying he was a priest and not a commander, he's just going to give it to the main character.
He gives Haruo second in command, even though literally as he's like giving him command, everyone in the crowd is like, "Are you insane? Are you out of your mind?" Because this guy tried to blow up their ship. But then he goes up and he gives the most generic animated speech, like, "Our justice will prevail against the evil heart of Godzilla," something like that, and everyone's like, "Okay, we'll go with that."
I'm inspired now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so is put in control. He essentially leads another mission to get Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference this time is that there's more spacecraft, or not spacecraft.
They bring more Tron light bikes
that
to
fly around
in
in the
air.
sky instead of just the main character.
Along with their not Rebel transports from Star Wars, and they're not ATST walkers, and they're not like mini Gundams.
The robots in this movie are laughable.
They don't do anything.
They don't.
The robots fight the Servum. Yeah, the Servum. We didn't talk about the Servum.
Do we need to?
I think the Servum have less screen time than Godzilla, and you would expect the Servum to be like the cannon fodder.
You would expect the servant to be an interesting monster.
It's the most uninteresting
They
monster.
have rights to the previous monsters that they released
And they create...
during the exposition. You got Orga, Hedorah, Dagora,
Dagara, and Kamacuras. And like in the freaking book, there's Gabara and Gorosaurus and Zilla. And
Why not have it be them?
have it be the 98 Godzilla. Like the 98 Godzilla spawned from him or something. I guess
Yeah.
the Servum spawned from him. Maybe they'll have a bigger part in the future movies, but right now, they're in the movie for like one attack scene and then they just fly around in the background the rest of the movie.
And so they're leading the attack. He comes up with this bright idea to lead Godzilla down a canyon. Where
I was
he will then...
totally lost on what was going on here. Like I was asking you, like, why are they like leading him to a specific spot?
Because plot.
Yeah, because they set up like charges or whatever.
Even though they don't show it, which is okay.
I think there was like one throwaway line where Haruo tells his not love interest to go set up these explosives or charges or whatever in the canyon, like 100 feet away for some reason. 'Cause
Yeah.
we need more tension.
So they lead them down the canyon, and they blow up the canyon, and it becomes the scene from Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm just about to say this entire climax felt a lot like just a weird sci-fi Shin Godzilla.
Where he's pinned and he can't really move.
and
And,
they have to put like fluids or drones, I
but
guess
in
this
this
case.
it's EMP charges.
Yeah, it's EMP drones. They have to drill into his back spine to disable his shield, and that blows him up.
Yeah, he blows up.
Literally just like this entire top half of Godzilla, who's like buried up to here in rocks, he's gone. Like you see like the charred remains of like the bottom half of his body, kind of. And everyone's just like, "Oh my god, we killed him!" And then
So they're sitting around. They're like, "Yay, we killed him. We can finally settle this."
Well, yeah, here's the
terrible
thing. First, they draw out this celebration scene for like 2 or 3 minutes.
It
And
felt
they
longer.
like it felt longer, honestly. Yeah, and they like cut to sunset and everything. Like everything's gonna be okay. But if you know anything about this movie, if you watch it on Netflix, it says it's part 1.
So it's
So
like,
you know not everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And then the last 5 minutes of the movie,
which is the only amount that I actually liked.
because it had a cool theme song.
There was a theme. I didn't notice that.
It was cool music. It's the best track in the movie. That's all I could pay attention to. So,
I didn't pay attention to that. Whoops.
so the last 5 minutes of the movie, there's this one scientist guy who I don't remember any of the characters besides Haruo, and there's not love interest in the alien. So this one scientist, like this blonde guy, comes in. He's like, I have a theory. That Godzilla was just an offspring, or a smaller creature made to look like Godzilla.
Yeah.
And literally 30 seconds after he says that, everyone's like, oh my god, there's like rumbling, and there's a huge heat source underground, and out pops a huge-ass Godzilla. Like the big one, like the one that's been spoiled everywhere.
I knew about it, but I still was just kind of like shocked.
I did too, because I was trying to avoid spoilers. That's the one thing that everyone was posting. You could not avoid it.
So Godzilla emerges, and I would assume. So this is it's a Bandai.
Monster King 2017.
It's the first Godzilla that shows up. Hence the blue tinge to it.
There's very minor differences, from what you can tell between the two.
This is smoother of a design, and then the older one is flakier. From what I would say.
From what we can tell, the monster arts which is green. I mean, we can't even tell.
Grayish, greenish.
You can't even tell if the final one in the movie is green because it's sunset and there's like lens
Everything's
flares.
orange.
Everything's orange and there's lens flares everywhere. But yeah, so like the monster arts, I guess, is that one because there's also like a beard spike that he has. He's got like a couple spikes under his chin, which this one doesn't have. So our assumption is that the monster arts is like the actual Godzilla and the Bandais are like the babies, like whatever they are, offspring. Clones, whatever.
So while Godzilla is emerging, Alien Man is on a cliff.
Alien Man who helps Haruo like convince everyone that he knows how to kill Godzilla. He just leads the rest of the group and he like comes out in the trees and like looking at Godzilla. He's like, "Oh, there he is. It's been so long, our god."
Yeah, which
I guess that is
he doesn't say our god. It's like alluded to, which
he basically outright says that
Yeah.
Godzilla is their god. It could not be more obvious.
which I'm okay with.
That's an interesting concept because they kind of did that in Shin Godzilla, where everyone's like protesting, like Godzilla is God.
Well, I mean, it just gives another antagonist and
And it
more conflict in the sense that the guy was talking about how they had seen past civilizations come and go because of Godzilla.
Which I guess that's probably the most interesting part of the movie.
So
But
I
it's
guess-
gonna be answered in the next two movies anyway. Godzilla's probably made by them or something. And,
Yeah.
and he comes to Earth or whatever.
So if there's a lesson to be made from this movie, it's don't be religious.
Don't talk to aliens that look like Link from The Legend of Zelda.
Those are two different. Those are two different messages. Yeah. That was the movie. Animation, we talked.
So, yeah, we touched on it a little bit. Godzilla like doesn't move at all.
Yeah.
Like Shin Godzilla was more.
That was pushing the boundaries, in my opinion. For my own personal tastes, that was about as stiff as you can get. Just because it is like, the 54 suit where it didn't move a whole lot. And when it comes to suits, I guess the most movement you're going to get is the 55 or 62 Godzilla.
Yeah, and even with their clearly low budget CGI at times, Shin Godzilla still like moved at least. You could tell what he was trying to do,
Yeah.
what he was doing, where he was going. He doesn't move. He like twists his head to turn and look at like the transport ships that are leaving and like puke his atomic breath. That's all he does, by the way, in the movie. He shoots atomic breath. So I hope you like Final Wars Godzilla.
No. He does his tail.
Oh yeah, that's the bigger Godzilla in the last 5 minutes of the movie, who has like, well, like they call it, at least in the English dub, because that's what we watched. I'll probably watch the English subtitles later on, but so the bigger Godzilla comes out of the ground and he roars and it blows up like one of the transport ships, and the guys on the ground are like, "It's a super oscillatory wave," which is literally what Gamora's attack in Ultraman is called. That was weird. And then he also like swipes his tail through a cliff and a laser beam comes out and it blows up a ton of like tanks and robots and stuff. So does he have a tail beam like Shin Godzilla? Maybe.
Who knows?
It'll all be explained in the next movie. Don't worry. You don't need to have a movie stand on its own in a trilogy.
Who cares?
Yeah, all the best trilogies. A New Hope.
Oh, one last thing. After credit scenes.
Oh yeah.
Talk about
Nothing.
a disappointment.
Which we didn't touch on this earlier. So earlier in the movie, about like halfway through, like when they first get on Earth, right before they encounter the Servum, I think, maybe it's right after, there's like 2 seconds of footage where you see this person like without a space helmet, because everyone's down on Earth wearing space helmets because they're like, oh, we don't know how much the atmosphere's changed, or there's like fog everywhere and stuff. And so there's like 2 seconds of this girl going through the foliage, and you forget about her right after you see her.
Well, I do want to thank you for pointing out an after credit scene because I thought you were joking.
I had heard murmurings that there was one before, so I'm like, we should like just check.
So if you guys haven't seen or heard, there is an after credit scene.
It doesn't tell you anything though.
It consists of Haru waking,
Yeah, he wakes up.
main character man, waking up in a cave of some sorts.
Cave or like a
And he
tribal den.
looks over, and some anime chick wearing some mask
skimpy outfit.
takes off a mask and looks at him, and that's it.
You're left to infer that it was the lady not that he saw, but that we as the audience saw halfway through the movie and forgot.
You know what would have been much more of an interesting ending? The poster that they have already for the second movie.
The second one, Mechagodzilla's in this movie. In the opening, 15 seconds in the movie, they're like, "Oh, Mechagodzilla doesn't work," and he blows up.
That doesn't even look like it doesn't even look like a solid object.
It looks like a bug.
It looks just
It's
like
got like a weird like centipede head with like mandibles.
if you were to take this figure, take a cracked eggshell, and just get a glue stick and just
put the
put it on
his
there,
head, you
it
got
doesn't even look like anything.
That's what your Mechagodzilla is in the next movie, I guess. I mean, I guess he's in the next movie based on the poster.
I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay.
So for those of you who were expecting Godzilla Monster Planet to be a good anime that Netflix produced, let me tell you about a good anime that Netflix produced.
Which only he has sene.
Devilman Crybaby. It doesn't really have much to relate with kaiju genre. Really, it's about a man who finds out that demons are on Earth, and by the help of his childhood friend, turns into a demon to fight off the bad demons. Throughout this show, it has tones of like a slice of life anime where they're in high school and they're getting ready for a track meet. Has a little bit of a tone of a porno movie in the sense that there is
In case you don't want to watch Godzilla,
there is a lot of nudity in it. I will say that. But there was also elements of like a snuff movie. There was a lot of violence too. But the reason why I'm recommending it and why I think it's good is that it takes those elements, including like politics about the dangers of war, of all things, takes all those elements, puts them all into a nice 10-episode, about 4-hour-long ball of enjoyable content. Imagine that.
enjoyable.
Also,
content.
it has a really good soundtrack.
Cool.
And that's the thing. I'm stepping up on my words because I just realized we didn't talk about the soundtrack.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should bring that up because I brought it up briefly. The theme when the giant Godzilla appears, like the Godzilla planet, as I guess is what people are calling it.
I didn't know that there was a thing.
That's what I've heard. I mean, because it's been spoiled everywhere.
So the music for this movie was made by the guy who did the soundtrack to Space Godzilla, and if I remember correctly, he did the 2000 movie.
I'm trying to remember if he did 2002. I know he did Space Godzilla for sure, and you can tell.
Yeah,
I think Space Godzilla's a pretty good soundtrack.
this has an okay soundtrack.
It's okay.
Except for the electric guitar
what-
parts, which are laughable.
There, at the beginning of the climax, when all the Tron light cycles are flying through the sky, like avoiding the servum to go fight Godzilla, there's this weird, almost, it reminded me of the Evangelion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Evangelion.
I'm sorry. Evangelion song that plays 5 times in Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
It felt like another variation of that. It was like a weird techno rock.
Early 2000s techno, heavy electric guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The rest of the soundtrack was okay, I think, when you could hear it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there was that much music in this.
Just the first
either because there was none, period, or because it was super quiet in the sound mixing, which I would believe either one.
But yeah, I'll say this. Would you recommend Godzilla Monster Planet Part 1, Episode 1?
Give it a year. Give it a year.
Wait till they're all out.
Yeah. Just wait.
But you know,
Because if you watch it now, and I mean, if you're watching this review, you probably already have, unless you don't have Netflix and you're looking for those spoilers everywhere, and you know. Yeah, if you watch it now, yeah, at least for me, I've felt extremely disappointed and underwhelmed, and I went in with very low expectations because I'm not the biggest anime fan, you know, because I fall asleep when you try to show me anime.
now you're making me out to be some big anime fan. I'm not a big anime fan. There is some that I enjoy, like
Well, I mean, I guess you're a bigger fan than me because you've seen the classics at least.
Yeah.
I've seen zero anime aside from a third of Ghost in the Shell, but anyway, that's all beside the point, I guess. I had zero expectations. I was not really excited for this movie. I was looking forward to it to see what they would do, but I had no expectations going in, and I was sorely disappointed. What about you? Give it a score out of 10, I guess.
from 0 to Devilman Crybaby. I would not give it a Devilman Crybaby.
What would you give it out of 10?
Like a solid 4.
Oh, yours is lower than I was. I was gonna say like 4.5.
Like a solid 4. The only thing that's good about it is that the ending ends on an okay cliffhanger in the sense that, yeah, everyone's...
There's like a cool scene with the giant Godzilla.
Why should I just...
Yeah, aside from a cool scene at the last 5 minutes of the movie and the promise that there are 2 more chapters to come.
Okay, what do you want for them to do with the next 2 chapters?
Something memorable.
I hope that they at least take all the monsters that they have the rights to and use them.
Do something!
Use them.
Because clearly, I mean, there's people that were saying like, oh, like they won't put them in because they just had the rights to the name or something.
If they're in the...
If they did that, I mean, maybe because the 4 monsters that appear in 15 seconds in the opening are all super obscure, save Orga maybe. I mean, still
Use them.
Please. The Servum are jokes so far. Godzilla was
A joke.
a joke.
He didn't move. Just wait. I've said it already before. Just wait till they're all out.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you watch it now, you're probably going to feel obligated. Like I feel like this is going to happen to us when Chapter 2 is coming out and Chapter 3 again. We're going to have to watch it again.
I'm probably not. I'm not going to do that to myself.
I feel like I'm going to have to remember what the hell was going on.
You're still going to forget.
And yeah, that's a good point. Don't watch it yet.
The only character name that I know is Haruo. Which is only because you've been saying it.
Yeah. I don't remember any other names. There was the alien whose name was like... It sounded like Mephiles from Ultraman. That's all I remember.
I don't know. I don't care. This is honestly just so that they can keep the rights to Godzilla, probably. No, it's because in G-Fest, Shinji said that they can't make a live-action movie
until 2021 or whatever. We weren't at that panel, but like yeah, that's what people have said.
This is a tax write-off. These 3 movies, that's what they are.
I mean, it's a new medium for Godzilla, which is cool. Godzilla's been very different in the past years. There's 2014 Shin and now the anime, which were all very, very different experiences. Some of them, you know, pretty good. Some of them suck. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyways, this has been our review.
Our first review
of
anything.
Yeah, I get anything?
Our first review of anything.
Okay. Is that the series?
Review of anything? No, it's probably
a review of anything.
A review of anything. It's probably just going to be called movie
This is
reviews.
what's going to replace Kaiju Customs. So
overall, I'm disappointed. I don't hate it.
I'm not even disappointed. I'm just bored.
Yeah. I was disappointed with no expectations. It was boring. The whole movie felt like the Phantom Menace in Star Wars, where this this entire part could probably be taken out from the next two movies, and it probably won't make a difference, is my guess.
How much did this make in the Japanese box office?
I have no idea.
I think it actually made like a good amount.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
The only time I would actively go out and probably want to watch this again is if I saw it in a Japanese theater.
fair.
While we saw this, another person mentioned that the 1998 American Godzilla is probably more enjoyable than this.
Granted, this person is not a Godzilla fan that much.
I would
But-
probably say if I'm trying to have some sort of enjoyment.
So you can at least riff on
Yeah.
the 98 Godzilla. Like, oh, that's a lot of fish. This is just boring.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on the entire movie.
So if there's now two things to take away from this, if you're gonna watch this movie, wait, and for that hour and a half, watch the first hour and a half of Godzilla 1998 or Devilman Crybaby. I'm still pushing it. Okay, I'm done. I'm done pushing it.
Yeah, I think that's all there is to say, really. We'll probably come back and review the other parts. We'll probably review some other stuff, some other garbage.
Colossal.
Sorry, I have a cold.
Here's an exclusive of what to expect. Ultraman G, the movie Colossal.
That's
Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah,
Let's-
Pacific Rim 2 in March.
Yeah, that's it. I'm Taylor Minster. I
I'm-
play Tyler in Zone Fighter. As if the resemblance was uncanny.
Oh, I thought Tyler wore glasses.
Your life is your life is a lie.
I'm Jake, and
And this has been a review
of
of anything.
of a review of anything. We'll see you guys later.